right now, everyone's favorite developer, Electronic Arts, is facing three class action lawsuits with hundreds of people involved. Why? Well, the lawsuits say that EA's popular sports games create an endless cycle of gambling designed to get you to spend more and more and more money. The lawsuit also says that EA isn't just hiding this fact. They've allegedly been lying about it for years. Guys, we are well on our way to 2 million subscribers.
This is not an argument.
We can't do it without you. So scroll down and hit that subscribe button. And
if
you have a story idea for us, hit us up at tips@thescore.com. So every year, EA releases a new slate of sports games, and every year, people get pissed off because, let's be honest, from FIFA to Madden, these games are a glorified roster update. And when it comes to Madden 21, people are so pissed off at EA, they got hashtag #NFLDropEA trending on Twitter. While the backlash is unfortunately not surprising, it's not the only problem EA is currently facing. They're battling 3 class action lawsuits in court. Back in August, the first lawsuit was filed in California by a guy named Kevin Ramirez, who, according to the lawsuit, represents more than 100 other people. A second lawsuit was filed in October, this time in Canada, and that was quickly followed up in November by another lawsuit, again based in the States. At the heart of the complaints in the lawsuits are loot boxes and a concept called dynamic difficulty adjustment. Each lawsuit states that EA games in general, not just their sports games, are filled with loot boxes that amount to nothing more than gambling. On top of that, the lawsuits state in their own way that EA creates a perpetual non-stop cycle of gambling by using that concept of dynamic difficulty adjustment that I talked about earlier. And I'll explain what that means in just a second. And that's how a class action lawsuit works. Hundreds, if not thousands of people have the same complaint, often against a specific company. A giant lawsuit is filed, and then one person represents the collective in court. Now, most of you already know what a loot box is. Those dumb
Chat, is this how they say pay to win?
You pay real money for to open in-game.
I didn't hit any.
Oh my god! Oh my god, a knife! I got a knife! I got a karambit! I got a knife! I told you I'll get a knife from this case! I told you I'll get a knife from this case!
The other thing that makes a loot box is the element of chance. See, each developer has their own algorithms for creating different sets of odds, and then those odds are assigned to a specific category of loot box. The rarer the loot box, the smaller the chance you have to win some cool looking shit. I mean, you get the point. But here's something important to keep in mind when it comes to Madden and FIFA, which are the primary focus of this video. The most important loot boxes in the game, really the only loot boxes in the game, are people. Well, players to be specific. See, these sports-specific loot boxes are connected to a game mode called Ultimate Team, and every EA sports game dating back to...
Every time there's a new game that comes out for FIFA, on Twitch, it's like one of the highest games watched. I click on it, and in the thumbnails, not a single person, not one, is actually playing the game that I noticed whenever the game comes out. Everybody is just opening packs all day. Literally, not a single person is playing the game.
2009, when Ultimate Team was introduced, has a version of it. Madden Ultimate Team, FIFA Ultimate Team, you get it. Think of Ultimate Team as a ramped up version of franchise mode, where you take a personalized team that you've created, play with them throughout the season, and make all the decisions a general manager would. But the difference with Ultimate Team is that you build out a roster with these player loot boxes in order to make your team better. For example, you can spend 14 actual dollars, which gets you 100,000 coins in Madden. You then go into Madden Ultimate Team, let's say, spend 50,000 coins on an elite player pack that gives you a tiny chance to win Patrick Mahomes, and then you can use him as your starting quarterback. And if you don't care about American football, just know you really want Patrick Mahomes on your team.
As long as try to make a diving tip, and Mahomes who tiptoes inside the 10, still knocked out.
Damn, dude,
so,
the
much
juicer.
Like case openings in CSGO, you're essentially gambling in Ultimate Team. And we all know how addictive case openings in CSGO can be. The difference here is that unlike CSGO with its case openings being based purely around skins, these player packs can fundamentally change your odds of winning. And so as all 3 lawsuits point out, not only does EA's loot boxes keep players engaged for longer, but it encourages addictive and potentially negative gambling habits. Quote, loot boxes are considered part of the compulsion loop of game design to keep players invested in a game. Such compulsion loops are known to contribute towards video game addiction and are frequently compared to gambling addiction. This is in part due to the use of variable rate reinforcement schedule, similar to how slot machines dole out prizes, and it is especially dangerous for children. End quote. Alright, that was loot boxes. Now let's add in the dynamic difficulty adjustment concept that I mentioned earlier. From here on out, I'm just going to be calling it DDA because honestly, that name sucks. DDA is a behavioral design concept. Think about it this way. You know when you're getting destroyed in Madden? Well, in this case, the AI difficulty automatically adjusts to give you a break, and vice versa. When you're absolutely crushing the competition, the difficulty automatically ramps up. This is all done behind the scenes via a bunch of complex code that I don't understand. There's never any indicator that it's happening in front of you. And here's the crazy part. For years now, EA has allegedly denied that they use DDA at all. Now, you might be asking, well, why does EA need to deny anything? DDA doesn't seem like that bad of a thing. But according to all three lawsuits, the concept of DDA combined with the loot box mechanics creates a self-perpetuating cycle of gambling that EA never tells you about. Quote, this is a self-perpetuating cycle that benefits EA to the detriment of EA Sports gamers. Since difficulty adjusting mechanisms make gamers believe their teams are less skilled than they actually are, leading them to purchase additional player packs in hopes of receiving better players and being more competitive. End quote. Now, that statement comes from the second US-based lawsuit filed in November. And what the statement is alleging there is that DDA is tricking players into thinking they suck, incentivizing them into spending more money on player packs with the very, very small chance of buying a player that would make all the difference on the pitch, gridiron, or ice. Guaranteed, I have been on the receiving.
Guys, if you play online, the matchmaking gives you, if you lose, they give you weaker players or whatever, so this doesn't make any sense.
End of that dynamic difficulty shit because I am trash at sports games. But think about it, because your chances of winning a superstar player are so low, you continue to suck, you continue to buy player packs, and the cycle continues. Now, imagine how screwed up it would be if the items you got from the CSGO case actually affected how you played on the server. Like, if a Dragon Lore skin somehow made you 10 times better than if you weren't using it. That's essentially what's happening with these EA player packs. Now,
makes sense.
How much money are we talking about here? How much money are people actually spending on these things? Well, according to the second US lawsuit, in 2019, FIFA pros competing in the Ultimate Team Champions Cup were using custom-built teams with, quote, an average real-world value of approximately $27,000, end quote.
That was a thriller, but you got it done. How were you able to keep your edge?
Every game on FIFA 20 is a 50-50. Like, he'll win the next one, I'll win this one, because the game is so, like, unrewarding that anyone can win. Like, guys who aren't good can win on FIFA 20, and no one enjoys playing it, but, you know, we're here.
Fans of FIFA have long theorized about the use of DDA in the game, and multiple Reddit detectives have actually found mention of it buried within EA's code. Now, back in 2017, EA basically denied the existence of DDA. But after multiple legal patents surfaced online in 2019, listing EA as the legal rights holder to DDA, well, fans were pissed, and EA had to make a statement. Quote, we've heard your concerns around the dynamic difficulty adjustment patent.
Wait a minute!
And wanted to confirm it's not used in EA Sports FIFA. We would never use it to the advantage or disadvantage of any group of players against another in any of our games. The technology was... designed to explore how we might help players that are having difficulty in a certain area of a game have an opportunity to advance. End quote. And remember, while EA says that DDA isn't being used in FIFA, multiple chunks of all three lawsuits state the exact opposite. They say that's not true, and in fact, DDA is being used in all of their sports games. And when it comes to loot boxes, EA has been facing scrutiny for years at this point. From Battlefield to Battlefront, Dragon Age to The Sims, EA has a terrible reputation when it comes to loot boxes and wanting your money. On top of that, in October of this year, a Netherlands-based district court actually ruled against EA when it comes to the use of loot boxes in FIFA. The court determined that those loot boxes violates the country's Gambling and Betting Act. Now, initially, the courts gave EA an 8-week window in order to remove or significantly alter those loot boxes and escape monetary punishment. But EA basically said, nah, we're good, so the court slapped them with a €10 million fine. Now, what's interesting to think about with these legal battles is how they could impact EA's esports scenes.
That's it?
Remember, in 2019,
Wait,
FIFA
a one-time fine?
pros were using custom-built rosters that, on average, were worth $27,000. What happens if EA loot boxes get severely altered or banned entirely? How are pro players supposed to compete in a scene built around buying loot boxes to make you better if they're banned? That's a giant question EA might have to answer depending on how these lawsuits go. Do I see a world where loot boxes stop existing? Hell no. There's always going to be an in-game mechanism in place for companies like EA to separate you from your money. But it's possible, based on recent government rulings against EA and the fact that 3 separate class action lawsuits have made it to court, that loot boxes and their alleged negative gambling qualities could be reined in, regulated, or even banned entirely. And honestly, that's a good enough place to start.
Jeez, okay.
Those
Interesting. That was a good video, chat. Pog. Okay. Whew, chat, I think it's game time.